Welcome back to another episode of Talking Tarkov. I'm the EarLegAthlete here with,
Hey Dizzle.
and today we are going to discuss the new Nikileak, new weekly boss spawn rotation, the labs cutscene, and the latest update to some bosses, which ruins the cultist fight. Let's get right into it. So, cultists no longer have silent footsteps. What's next? They're going to start running like flashlights and wearing bright colored clothing and just show up at daytime. Like, what the fuck is going on, dude? I'm sorry. I have
They're
strong feelings
announcing
for this one.
themselves before you get up to them, yelling like, "Hey,
Yeah, they're voice
here we
line and
are."
shit. They're throwing grenades.
No, I mean, we went through this. We already noticed they were bugged because the bosses that aren't supposed to have footsteps and the cultists were all having footsteps for the last few months, and we were upset with that. And we were thinking it was a bug, and then we got it confirmed that it was a bug and that it had been fixed, which that was just recently. That was just what, a month ago that they
Yeah,
fixed it?
yeah, about a month ago, I'd
And
say.
and now turns out somebody complains about them having footsteps or them not having footsteps again, and they reverse it.
Yeah.
And I'm just,
So it
I just
was
don't
Bird
understand that.
Eye. Problem is silent footsteps is unrealistic and frustrating. First off, not entirely. If cultists move entirely slow and are cautious and paying attention with their movement, you can move pretty well silently, especially if you're trained. You know, like you got to think these are not just your average, scavs or
Right.
PMCs.
These are the top of the top when it comes to enemies in this
And
like
they're labs enhanced.
brutal world. Yeah.
Another
This
little
brutal
lore drop,
world
but
where yeah, it's just these are supposed to be the hardest people to fight. So they're going to be the
yeah.
best trained. They're going to be have the most tactics to stay hidden. So it's like it
And we
makes
don't know
sense.
what Labs has done, Terra Group has done to them, but we know they're tied together and there's some things going on there.
Right.
So they're like super fucking soldiers. So yeah, it kind of is realistic and makes sense, at least in the story and then the world of
It,
Escape from Tarkov. Um,
Exactly. In Tarkov's world, it's realistic. It makes sense. There's an explanation for everything that's happening.
yeah, yeah. So the problem is Silent Footsteps is unrealistic and frustrating. They list Bird Eye, Cultist, and Partisan, and then BSG responds with remove silent walking for Bird Eye, Sturman, Partisan, and Cultist. We didn't know Sturman was bugged, but apparently he was. They should
Yeah.
now walk about 20 to 35% quieter than the rest. But here's the issue with that still. Headsets work really well, and once you're within a certain range, it doesn't matter if you're silent walking, like, slow walking. Um, it's just, you can still hear everything. So, I don't know. Hopefully, cultists just stop moving altogether and they just post up in bushes again and lay down in the floor and wait for you to come up to them. Maybe that's the fix.
Well, I know we're in the minority here. Like I know just because anybody and everybody I usually mention this to, they're like good. They
Right.
shouldn't
Yeah.
be
Yeah. Yeah.
silent.
Yeah. Yeah. It's frustrating.
But I'm cool with that with
Excuse
all
me.
those bosses except the cultists.
Yeah.
The
Bird
cultists
Eye
should
and Partisan.
absolutely be yeah, those guys give them real quiet footsteps, whatever.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
cultists should be quiet, completely quiet, terrifyingly quiet. Like
Yeah.
you have no
Absolutely. That's the
idea where
point.
they are.
They are meant
Yeah,
to
that
be.
fight is supposed to be the scariest fight in the game.
You're
And
not supposed to know
giving
they're there.
them
The idea is that they
right,
show up to you. Not, oh, I
giving them
know where they're
audio
at. I'm a super
cues,
chat. Like,
it completely takes away from their element of surprise, which is supposed to be their best fighting asset, is them
yeah,
sneaking up on you and stabbing you. Like
that's the
that's
whole
supposed to be
shtick. Like, that's
yeah.
that's their thing. Um,
Well, they've continuously nerfed the cultists over time. Like I don't understand why. I hope and pray that this is just some devs acting
temporary.
without well, like hopefully they're doing this like without Nikita's consent, and maybe once he sees this, like he'll be like, no, we need to take them back to how they were. That's my only hope is because I know Nikita
Well,
favors the hardcore stuff more.
right.
So maybe once he sees this, maybe he'll make him revert it, but I don't know.
Well, this all could be just beta testing stuff too, still. And maybe at 1.0 they are silent and intended to work how they're supposed to, or work how they're intended. But yeah, it's just
Well,
frustrating because it's
it even says that in the newer the freaking thing that came out today, I can't think of the name of it.
the survey.
Survey, yeah, the survey that came out today. That was kind of what they were saying was like, are you okay with how we've been implementing things from the community? Do you think the game's gotten better since we started doing that? Things like that. So they're clearly asking people's opinions like, are you okay with us just making changes off people's suggestions in Tarkov pretty
Yeah.
rapidly, you know. So hopefully this is something that I don't know. I feel like it won't get
The
changed because I feel
cultist
like
does not
majority of
make
the
sense.
community. I
Fuck
feel
the
like majority of
majority.
the
Since when does
community are
that ever
gonna make.
matter, though? That's what I don't understand.
But you know that's how it's gonna be. Everyone's gonna be like, no, don't change it. You know what I mean? Like just
It's
I
easy
don't
now,
know.
Tarkov. We can speed run faster. We can do everything quicker, and we have less things to worry about. And the game's just easier overall now. I can run night raids without any worries. Like that's fucking stupid, dude. It's annoying. And
Right.
I
It
know you
is. It
feel the
is.
same way. I know you do. So
Yeah.
I'm,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's just like it's so frustrating because if you don't want to deal with cultists, you do not have to. And if you want to do the task where you have to deal with cultists, guess what? Put a piss cup in because it's scary. Like that's the point.
Right.
I don't fucking know. I don't. It's just like I don't understand a lot of the community mindset, and I think it's just Tarkov becoming more and more popular. Um, you just get more and more casual people wanting to play the game, especially with PVE
Well,
introduced.
I
More and
get it.
more
Like I
people
said,
came to just check out the story and the tasking and stuff like that.
I get it
So
on most bosses. And I mean, ever since like they put silent footsteps as a thing, everybody has complained about it. Like it's not a new thing. Like as soon as they introduced the boys and you had freaking
Bird
Bird
Eye.
Eye just, creeping around with no footsteps. A lot of people threw a fit about that. Like I remember it being a big deal. Like a lot of the streamers were upset, like calling for BSG to change it, this and that.
Bird
So
Eye, I
it's like
understand.
yeah, but that's what I'm getting at is like I get that in those
Yeah,
kind of
Bird
fights
Eye,
and
Partisan, sure.
yeah, give you a way to counter them. But cultists should not be held to the same rules as everything else because they're not
No.
the same fight as everything else.
Yeah, it's
They're supposed to be extra.
the
Like
end all
it's
be
supposed to
all
be
hardest
harder.
fight you
Yeah,
can get
yeah.
into.
Yeah, and that's why they're so limited. They're limited on the time they spawn, they're limited on the areas they can be in. Like,
On the
there's
amount of
so many
them,
ways.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah, so many ways to get around them. And it's such a low spawn rate too. Yeah, like even when they up the boss, like the main boss spawn rates, cultists are always below them. They're always
By
a good
so
20
much.
points below. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
They're in
So
like the single digit areas and everything else is
yeah.
way up, you know? It's just wild.
So, I mean, if they're gonna make them supposedly, with the lore and everything, if they're gonna make them have such a important aspect in Tarkov in general, they need to make them what they were when they first were introduced. Make them scary, make them the, worst of the worst, the hardest. Like, stop nerfing them, stop making them more like other bosses. It's,
Right. Let them be
it
what they
just
are meant to be.
yeah. Go back to when they were first implemented, because I'm telling you, man, they were awful. They
And
were the
if
worst thing in the game, but I loved it.
yeah, it was
Loved it.
so much better. Dude, just walking through sometimes like I think I said it in another Talking Tarkov, but sometimes the scariest moment when you're at nighttime and you're looking for the cultists is when they're not even there because you think they're
Yeah,
fucking everywhere. You're walking through the area and you're
exactly.
like, "Oh shit, was that a branch? What is that? What is that?" You sit still for like 2 seconds and you just hear like a little like
Yeah.
a snap and you're like, "Oh shit." That was that dude, it made it so good.
Well, and the fact that I could walk
Oh, I'm
all the way
dying over
on
here.
top of one without knowing they were there. Like I walked on top of one before I realized he was there. You know what I mean? Like that's it. Just that element of surprise is just no longer there. And I miss it.
Disappointing.
That
Yeah.
was the best part of the fight.
Yeah. That was like one of the things you look forward to as you were getting further in the leveling system too. Like you start to get the good night vision unlocked and better ammo and stuff like that. And you're like, yeah, I want to go hunt cultists now. I have these tasks. Like it's time.
Well,
Now
even when you
it's
weren't wanting to fight them, there were times I would accidentally run into where they were and not think about it. Like I'd be running to extract in nighttime,
well,
just not
even on
thinking, just trying to get
shoreline, they
out.
can be at resort. So it's sometimes you just
Right.
happen upon them. Yeah.
So there were times where I would just accidentally run into them, start hearing shots fly over my head, realize it was a cultist, and just try my best to run away. And still, they would just kill me. But it was awesome because something totally unexpected happened. And, I paid the price for not paying attention.
Yeah.
It,
And that's how it should
I
be.
don't know, man. Yeah.
It should be
I
a
just
risk and
hope.
reward. And it should be, if you're not on your toes and you're not expecting it, especially when you're in the times for it, it's like you should have your head taken off. You should be in trouble there. It
Yeah,
just
there
adds
should at
so much
least be
value to the game.
some faction in the game that have that ability to change the way the game is. it's not the same old fight. Like there needs to be something like that. And if anything in Tarkov should be that way, it should be the Cultist.
It's the Cultists, yeah. Now,
But we could go on forever about it,
if you guys don't believe what we're saying, go read the books or listen to a breakdown of the books, and you will understand, one, lore specific wise, Cultists were how they should have been. And then just check out old Cultist fight footage too, because it gives you a pretty good idea of how it was.
Yeah.
And it was so much better than it is now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, I'm dying.
We can only hope that it comes back.
Next we have the
Do we want to mention the other things they said in that update about the helicopter?
Yeah, we probably should. We probably should.
extracts?
It's pretty big. I just the cultists being included on that is crazy. Also, did anybody else notice that Sturman had silent footsteps? Because I did not.
Yeah,
but at the same time, I always fight Sturman at such a distance that there's no way I'd hear him anyways.
Well, it must have been recent because I did fight Sturman up close one day. I didn't realize he was still there, and I run down there, and he was like right beside me, hiding behind a truck, and we like chased each other around this truck for a good while. And I 100% noticed footsteps, so it must have been something recent.
Probably. But yeah, go ahead.
I mean, that's how I knew he was there. You know what I mean? Like I heard him.
Right. Yeah, true.
But yeah, we also had the implementation of helicopter extracts kind of being not 100% confirmed, but pretty much confirmed. They basically said that they are working on it, and they, it probably won't be this year, but it is something that's planned.
Yeah, which is awesome. Now, that's cool. I obviously like it kind of breaks things a little bit, but at the same time, it's a pretty heavy risk reward system, I think, so that's okay.
Yeah, the way the guy talked about it, he was talking about, finding an item such as a flare that you have to pop, just like you do with the other extracts. And what this would do, it would signal a helicopter to basically come to your location to pick you up.
Yeah.
Then not only would that alert, other people and pretty much everybody in that raid, it would also, it would give you a way to get out wherever you are.
Right. That way, if you're short on time or you're fucked up or you're really heavy.
Risk and rewards. Like there's pros and cons. So it's a cool idea. I think the devs said that they weren't going to do it exactly like that, but it was a similar.
Similar to it. Yeah.
Yeah, similar to that, and they planned on adding that, but they said it probably just wouldn't be this year. I'm okay with that as long as they balance it out, which I'm sure they will.
Well, they did kind of already state that it would have some balance to it. You can blow it up with grenade launchers and RPGs. So, or was that?
That's what the guy suggested.
That's what the guy suggested. That's right. Okay. Yeah. I thought as soon as I said it, I was like, wait a second, that's not right.
Yeah. He's like, and then if people are late to catching you, jump on it, they can just shoot it down, and then they can loot you and the helicopter.
Yeah, that's too much though.
Going a little too far. Yeah,
and that would bog down systems so much,
dude. That would be crazy because you're asking they would have to make
it's a
crash helicopter assets for basically any surface on any map, and then you're asking. It's that's a lot of work, and I don't think that's necessary.
That's you want to talk about unrealistic? That's unrealistic for this game. Like that's That's crazy.
But just
a helicopter extract that maybe you have to turn on some sort of power or something, like hit a light, helicopter's there. It just has to fire up, kind of like you wait on car.
Whatever it is, I think they'll obviously make it where it's hard to get a hold of. It's not something you can use very often.
Yeah.
It would be cool though if you could find, say it's just a flare or a radio, so like a radio you can signal or something. It's like a one use. If you find one, you can just save it, put it in like a special slot, and just save it for those. You got this raid that you're in, and you got in these big fights, and you're struggling to get out. You only got like 2 minutes left, and you can't make it to your extract. That would be a time to use it or something. You know what I mean? Like
right.
Make it where it's very rare situations where anyone would even use it.
Yeah. That's about the best way to do it. Was there anything else added or considered being added with that?
Hold on 1 second. I can't remember. There was a third thing I thought. Oh, scavs. They had been able to see through smoke, like always. That has always been a thing. Smoke grenades did not work on scavs. Now they do. It's in progress. It's
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
it's
will
in
eventually.
progress.
Yeah,
So yeah, yeah, it's in progress. Should be done soon. From the way they said it, the lead game designer said it's in progress. He didn't say like it'll be later this year, so I assume this will be soon. But basically, now you can throw a smoke grenade, and basically scavs can't shoot you. You know,
pretty dope.
which is cool. Which is cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
yeah,
it should work
absolutely.
on bosses too. You know, it should work on bosses because as
Right.
far as I know, all AI right now can just see right through smoke. So.
Yeah, once that's fixed, the smoke will actually have good value, and I'd probably start running them.
Well, smoke has always been weird in Tarkov because certain render distances with a scope you can see through it. Night
True.
vision used to be able to see through it, and like there was just always
Right.
problems with it. So I'm sure by the time 1.0 gets here, that's a mechanic they're going to have ironed out to where smokes actually work like smokes.
Yeah,
So
ideally. Yeah, right now
yeah,
they're pretty underutilized in the game too, which is unfortunate because they could add a lot of value, especially in like
yeah. If
resort,
they can get them working
anywhere on
correctly,
streets. Like good area control.
yeah. Yeah, because if you're
Yeah.
out in the middle of a field and someone starts shooting at you, you don't even think about throwing smokes right now. You know what I mean?
No,
So if they
no,
get them
not
working
even
like they should, then
throw
that would
smokes
be
before you even
another
go out in
tool.
the field.
Yeah, that'd be another tool people can use to actually, just get places or even distract people. Make people
For
think you're
sure.
going somewhere. Throw a couple of smokes. There's a lot of uses for it that right now is underutilized that I think people would do if they had faith in them actually working.
Right.
But
But
yeah,
yeah,
that's the only one. That was the third thing.
good deal. And then we have the newest Nikileak. It starts off with what appears to be a new ASMR for, I believe, the SKS. I'm pretty sure it's the SKS. Um, and then we
Yeah, it
get to
looks like the
see
SKS.
some art, probably new graffiti going on the walls and things like that, I would imagine.
Probably. Yeah.
And then we got the best shot there is that could be had, dirty scav toes. Fuck yes.
Holes in their socks.
And then we move to a new, what is it? New handguard for the MCX? Is it MCX? Yeah, 300 blackout,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. We don't know. This looks like it's the MCX, but as someone was saying, it's got the I can't think of the name,
LAVW, no, LCAW,
LCVW, I think.
LCVW, yeah, something like that.
Yeah, basically it's another version of the MCX.
Yeah, just another
Not,
manufacturer's.
yeah, another SIG weapon. All the SIG weapons, especially the assault rifles, they look pretty similar, so it's hard to tell what's what. But from what we can see, this looks like something different than the MCX for sure.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely got a different look to it all the way around. And then we have, I have no idea what this even is, honestly. If this is maybe a lighthouse rework.
Oh, just real quick, sorry. It's not a Virtus or a Spear. It is the LVAW.
LVAW, yeah, yeah, okay.
Yes, yes. But the SIG MCX, Virtus, SIG Spear LT, and the LVAW all have a very similar look, but
Okay.
it looks as if Tarkov's adding the whole family.
Yeah, I think I'd seen somewhere they were.
Yeah, that was on
There's a
the
bunch of
community.
guns coming.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Tarkov community. They've already basically confirmed it.
So yeah, with for me, the only map that even looks remotely similar to this that's getting a rework is Lighthouse, and I'm not sure if that's the case. I could see it. This could be new bridge that leads towards Rogues. We don't know what the rework looks like. We don't know what the map layout is or anything. So who knows? But the only map that it really fits for me, I think, is Lighthouse, just because of the waterway under the bridge, and it just kind of has that lighthouse greenery vibe to it.
It's strange because you got the trees on the other side. I don't
Yeah,
know,
well,
man. That's
that's the
such
thing.
a
Like, we don't
hard.
know how they're changing Lighthouse. We have no idea in what regards they're changing about Lighthouse. Like, it could be Lighthouse could come out as a completely different map, right?
Yeah,
Or it just has some rearranged assets. We don't know, but
and this
it just
could technically be an expansion of any coastal map. Or
That's
not even a
true.
coastal map. This could just be a river on one of the maps. You know
Right,
what I
yeah,
mean?
it
Like,
doesn't necessarily
this
have
doesn't
to
have
be
to be a
connecting.
coast.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we also know that with Terminal, this could be a part of Terminal in the daylight. We haven't seen too many daytime photos of Terminal, and this could be what
And
that is.
we've only really seen the industrial side of Terminal, just like we don't know
Yeah.
what's like. The only thing that makes me not think Terminal is because it butts up to Shoreline on the side that would be trees and shrubbery and stuff like that and rocks. So I don't
True.
know.
True. Yeah,
But
this
it
could
kinda has
be
a it's
where
just so hard to tell.
you it could be where you head to when you escape Tarkov. Maybe this is the place you're
This is the
headed,
way
and
out.
this is a
Yeah, that's very
cutscene.
true.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
there's so many options. It looks more like a like normally the map things we've seen have clearly been for arena. This looks like it's not.
Yeah,
This
this
looks
is
like it's either Tarkov map or a cutscene or something.
yeah, if this is an arena map, this has to be like a spawn point, and the rest of the map out in front looks completely different, at least like layout wise. But I don't think that's the case. I just
Or there
I
has to be like a way underneath. Like this is you can go down
maybe a
under
new
and
game
like it's
mode that's gonna be a larger map size because
yeah.
there's a couple new game modes coming, right? I know there's the one they have on the page already, like or
Oh
on the
yeah,
game
on arena,
already.
yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. This to me just kind of says Lighthouse rework. I don't know why. That's my guess. That's my vote. I think that's where I'm gonna stick
Yeah.
with it.
They had talked about that before, so, I'm sure that they've been working on some stuff, so wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I would not be surprised at all, and I wouldn't be surprised if I'm completely wrong either because it's BSG and it's really hard to tell sometimes.
Yeah, it could be anything, honestly.
Continuing on though, you get it. Okay, so it. Damn, that's I didn't notice that when the first few times I watched it. What's going on over here? You know that new building they've been working on? I think it's being shown next. Even no.
I was gonna say, no, we got the, RPK, I think, which is what they're showing or not, the PKP looks like,
Yeah, it's a PKP,
they're
right?
doing a ASMR, the PKP,
Oh, that's gonna be
maybe?
sexy. Yeah, they are. Look at the gloves. He's got them on.
Yeah.
It's an
Yeah.
ASMR. Let's go. That's big, dude. That's exciting.
It's either the PKM or the
I
PKP, I'm
think it's
pretty
the
sure.
PKP. Yeah. Well, I guess
Yeah.
it could be the PKM. You're right.
Yeah.
Man, that's sexy. All right.
And then we
And
have
then
the
yeah.
actual RPK or the AK-12.
Yeah, they look
Or
identical. It's kind of hard to tell.
well, I was gonna say, or it could be there's so many
New
AKs from the
AKs. Yeah.
Ratnik. Yeah, the
Yeah.
Ratnik program. They churned out a bunch of similar looking AKs. So this could be a whole new addition. And I thought it was showing off a new handguard, but this might be a whole new model
Yeah,
because
I
there's a
think it
lot of
could be.
there's like a lot of AK-12 variants that they're a different number. They're like,
Right.
AK-15, AK-17, but there's 5.56 models, there's 308 models, so it's like it's hard to tell.
But you do also get a look at the new handguard system. You get a top rail essentially, and then you apply the lower half of the handguard as well, which is kind of cool. I'm excited to see how that plays out and works. But yeah, gun wise, wouldn't be surprised if it's AK-12 or RPK. Wouldn't be surprised if it's a brand new series. It is hard to tell as usual.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be an AK-15 now that I'm looking at it. It does
It
look like an
does.
AK-15. But like I said, they're all pretty interchangeable. They all look very similar, so this could just be a new rail for the existing AKs.
Yeah, it doesn't help that they have modified parts on it all the way around.
Right.
It looks good though. It looks great. I love the AK system. And then we have Bombila and Tequila.
Tequila.
So
I imagine
pretty
that's
dope.
just assets for throwing some writings on the wall somewhere.
I would imagine, yeah. I can't imagine it going anywhere other than graffiti. Maybe some new interchange graffiti. Who knows?
Yeah.
That'd be pretty
Or
cool. We are getting
possibly
a
even
rework or an
some
expansion
hideout.
to. That's true. It could be some hideout stuff,
Yeah.
but we are getting an expansion to interchange as it is. So maybe new kill spawn area. Who knows? I just noticed the water right there. Before I was looking at the buildings and stuff like that, but there's a walk down to a boat
Yeah.
that could potentially be an
Yeah.
extract.
This looks like streets though.
It looks like streets
Those buildings look
because
exactly like streets.
streets kind of butts up to coastline somewhere, right? Isn't it on the corner of the map, right? I think.
Yeah, I believe that there's a side of streets that is on the coast. And if I remember correctly, when they were first showing off like the whole map of streets, there was some water
Waterway
running through
through?
like the middle
Yeah,
of it.
like a
Yeah,
river or something?
and
Yeah.
you could actually cross like a bridge at one point. So I'm confused about streets because Nikita for so long was saying that streets was only like
A
fourth of
fraction
the
of its
way
size,
done.
yeah, yeah.
But then at the same time, they had put out something recently that says streets it was too hard to optimize, so they
So
were
they're
thinking about
cutting it in
splitting it in
half.
half.
Well,
Yeah,
you know
so it's
what?
like,
If they did split it in half, they could add expansions on both halves, kind of expand it out a
well,
little bit, but not make it as big, and then you have a decent sized map for both sides.
that's what I wonder. Everybody took it as him saying split it in half, as in split in half the existing streets. What
Right.
he might have been talk about was the final
Iteration
product,
1,
like
and then yeah.
yeah, instead of adding more to the existing streets, take what was supposed to be, added and just split it off into another map, like
Yeah,
a
Streets
second half of
P2,
streets,
yeah.
which makes the most sense because I know streets was meant to be way bigger than what it is.
Right, and I don't think like, sure, on a lower end PC, again, there's a price to play with some games, and unfortunately, Tarkov's one of those games, it's CPU bound, but
Yeah, yeah.
on a lower end PC,
Stre-
I can understand it. On anything that's relatively modern and updated, it runs relatively okay.
Yeah, and they've got it running a lot better as of late,
Yeah, they have.
especially it's a RAM hog. There's so many assets. Basically, if you don't have, at least 32 gigs, preferably 64 gigs of RAM,
64 runs
then
the best for
it's
sure.
I mean, but they have given us other options, as in the
Low
lower
texture
asset
mode, yeah.
version. Yeah, yeah, the lower texture version. So if they continue to do things like that, make it where people, with lower NPCs can play it, then I think that's fine. Like
2
make it
versions of
where
a Streets
there's
map about that size
yeah,
is fine. Yeah, I think
yeah,
that would be
yeah,
great.
yeah.
And make it just a quick transition to swap over so you can still do it raid to raid.
Right. So that would make sense. And I never really thought about that until right now because I was always questioning that when they said that, they're thinking about splitting streets up. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Like streets would be tiny if they split it up
Yeah, it
right
would it
now.
would yeah, it would be a very small map. Yeah, it wouldn't make
Yeah.
sense.
So
But the
yeah,
way it
this makes more
sits,
sense.
yeah, yeah. Keep the
The
streets
final
as
product
is,
split in
add in
half
the other
instead of
half,
making it
yeah,
one whole. Yeah.
yeah. That's actually yeah, that's a good point. Then we got
Can't really
another recording of
see.
some ASMR stuff.
I just say I can't see what they're zoomed in on.
It looks like the SKS. That's
Is that what he's doing?
the
Oh,
muzzle
okay. Yeah.
adapter. It looks like they're recording the ASMR for the SKS. And then, we have the MDR001955. So it is another MDR variant. It's the multi-caliber MDR. Not only that, but it is also showing a new handguard layout for the MDR.
Which, to be clear, every MDR in the game is multi-caliber already. They
Right.
just don't have the functionality built in yet.
Yeah,
So I don't know. This definitely looks different than the MDR that's in game right now.
it
It doesn't
does
look
for
like it's
sure.
just a handguard. Yeah, like that. I don't
The
know. There's some of the
trigger guard
angles.
area, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It could be a new
But
lower.
regardless,
It could be well, okay,
it,
so if it is multi-caliber, you are gonna have to swap out certain things about it, potentially. So maybe you can swap handguards now. I don't know. I don't think so. Because it still looks like it's all tied in. I've
we'll see
always
what
wanted
they
to swap
always
handguards on
did.
the MDR or pistol grips on the MDR.
Yeah, what they always did with the MDR, they just put in both versions. I mean, instead of
Right.
actually making it multi-caliber, they just put the 5.56 and the 308. But this looks different than both of those. So maybe
It
300
does.
blackout. Uh,
Could be.
yeah, I don't know. But yeah, definitely. Anything as far as customization wise for the MDR is great because, like you said, you couldn't do much to it before. So,
Yeah, I'm
and
all
it's a
for
great
it.
gun.
It is a great gun, yeah.
But yeah, even the barrel where the barrel and the suppressor connect, that looks different.
Yeah, yeah.
So I believe
It's
this is a whole different version.
right. Here's another one of those buildings, or I guess it's the same building potentially, just a slightly different angle at it.
Yeah, didn't we see this a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, I feel like this was included already, but it could just be a different a different look at it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it
And then
looks
we
like the
get to
one we seen a
something.
couple weeks ago was double doored. This one looks single doored.
I think it's still
Um,
double door. I think it's just because it's cut off. I think we're just only
oh,
seeing part
okay,
of
yeah,
it.
maybe.
I think this is just an inside look because I don't think we could see the interior of it at all.
Yeah, that could be.
But I can see this at Lighthouse. This is kind of like it's got that
Yeah.
oceanfront vibe to it,
Yep.
and where that bridge is, there's a building behind it that looked similar structure style. Maybe you have to go through that, go across the bridge, so it gives you another cover point. You know what I mean? Potentially.
Yeah. It does
Um,
look like something you would see on like on a dock or on a
yeah,
coastal
shoreline, lighthouse,
area.
wood.
Yeah,
Well, maybe
yeah.
not woods, but I always think of that water, and it's just a big ass lake. But yeah,
Right.
and then
Hair group
excuse
jacket.
me, yeah, and then we get to see the Terror Group jacket, and it is modeled for in game.
Yeah, it looks like
It
it's modeled for a
could
character to put on.
be therapist wearing it. It could be for cutscene purposes when we get to terminal. I mean, it could be a Terra group faction that we start seeing around, like the UN Peacekeepers. It could be just a jacket that we're seeing more and more frequently now with 1.0 coming. Like, anybody and everybody could be wearing this. It's Terra group.
Right. Yeah, Terror Group is going to play a huge part in the story part of Tarkov, I'm
Yeah.
sure of. So, I we'll probably see a lot of Terror Group stuff coming.
Yeah, I would imagine. We'll get a nice little step up in story and lore and just get to
Yeah.
learn a little bit more and see more butts. And then
Love
we get the
that.
radio, our first look at the radio in use, I think.
Yeah, yeah, it's turning the music on and off, which you can already do in the hideout, but
Right.
now this looks like in raid,
Yeah,
obviously,
that
because
definitely looks in raid.
yeah,
And then we're back to the
which
start,
is
but yeah,
cool.
you can hear him
That
hit
could
the button.
actually, yeah, I was gonna say that could cause some weird things in certain areas. Like if you get somewhere first, you could kick the radio on, so the next person that's coming in can't really hear as well. Like there could be some actual like gameplay elements to that.
Yeah, absolutely, they're
Um,
good. For sure. Especially depending on where they put them and how loud they actually are.
right.
Because
Did
I
we
like you
even
said, like, if you could, that would be
did we mention the SKS SMR or ASMR?
yeah, it was at the start of the video.
Oh, okay, okay.
And then next we have the new labs cutscene quick look video deal. This is pretty cool.
Yeah, it looks very good.
If you notice
Got the Keck
the
robot.
machine, yeah, it's a Keck robot. That's pretty cool. Dude, I cannot stop coughing. To me, this looks like the start of the game. This kind of giving us a breakdown on what was going on, what was happening. Like, or maybe not even the start
Yeah.
of the game, but like the events leading up to Tarkov becoming Tarkov.
Yeah, something to do with
uh,
showing you what's going on over at their group. Just showing you like a day in the life of, what's happening there. Maybe just having a cutscene talking about the backstory.
right.
It
How they
what
crafted the deal and how they were doing all the shady shit and tied into all these
right.
weird things and you never know. Like, yeah, but yeah, this looks awesome. This looks so good. I get like a super Resident Evil vibe from it. Obviously, I feel like that's a given, but
Well, and
yeah,
what
this is
a
cool.
lot of people pointed out was it looks like better than anything else in Tarkov. But I think that's more or less just because this is a cutscene. This is
Yeah, this
not
is a
like
cutscene. Yeah, this is
in
not new
engine.
engine. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, this is not in engine because everyone's like Unreal Engine 5. It's like, no,
No,
Tarkov's
no.
not,
I
this is just a
that would have
cutscene.
ruined Tarkov.
Yeah,
Absolutely
yeah.
ruined
Tarkov's
Tarkov.
not ever going to look like this.
No,
Never. Even
which
if
is
they
good.
switch engines, the real game would not look like this.
Yeah. But yeah, this is just cutscene stuff, and like Nikita's already said, they've already said several times, there are a bunch of cutscenes, a lot of new story-driven task lines, and all kinds of new stuff, so 1.0 is a completely different ballgame. We have no idea what we're getting our hands on, and it's exciting, so that's just cool.
Well, I've seen a lot of people also like kind of surprised. They're like, "Whoa, cutscenes in Tarkov." You got to think about it. Battle State Games have put out whole movies. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? Like
they've been
this is
developing this story for some
yeah,
long
like
time.
so it's going to be a lot of stuff like this. Like there's going to be a story and it's going to involve a lot of actual like movies and cutscenes and just that's what they do, more than
Right,
a lot of other companies. Just
absolutely.
because it's not in the game right now, I get it, but that's something they've always said is coming.
Yeah, yeah. So strap in. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah,
Next we
prepare for your
have
Tarkov install to jump up
yeah,
in gigabytes.
seriously.
We've been lucky having the 40 gig download. It's going to
For
be
so
like
long. Yeah,
120.
it's going to get
Yeah,
massive. Yeah.
yeah,
Next we have the weekly boss spawn rotation. This week is Rashala. We did a video on it. And just talking about like how quick and easy it is to farm XP, just running in, going for Rashala, PvP or PvE. It's a great little way to get one, you get to restock your kits, right? You get excuse me, you get armor, ammo, some cash here and there, some decent loot off of them. You get to work on figuring out how you want to go about approaching Rashala and all those different spawn locations. Great XP towards leveling. It is also just good experience of Tarkov playing if you're newer to the game. This is a great introductory boss. He's one of the easiest bosses. So yeah, we kind of covered this already, but weekly boss spawn rotation, I would imagine. I think this came up Monday or Tuesday, so I would imagine Monday or Tuesday we'll get the next one. So
yeah.
hopefully
And
it's Killa so we can get tracksuit. Yeah,
well,
this
they
was
did comment on this. They said, we heard your call. Weekly boss spawns are now in effect, starting with Rashala on 100% boss spawn. The system may change in future wipes, and unknown at this stage at what point in the wipe that it'll be available again. And then they said regarding the hot loot rotation, which was mentioned alongside this, it's still being considered. It's not being implemented at this time. And that's directly from Trent on the Tarkov community
yeah,
lead.
nice. But yeah, so take advantage of it for sure. Go get some practice fighting the bosses. If when Killa pops up, it's a great chance to go get tracksuit. It's a permanent unlock once you have it unlocked, so it's worth grinding out. But again, it's just
Yeah.
really good experience overall throughout these next few weeks. As each boss comes up, go nuts.
It's the
Get
first
in
time in
there and
Tarkov we've had something like this. I mean, we've had events, obviously. We didn't know the time or how long they would last. So,
right, it kinda
you
changes it a
didn't
bit.
really, yeah. So now that we know this, from what they're saying, this should definitely carry all the way until the next wipe 1.0.
Yeah,
So from here to then, you now know every week one of the bosses is going to be at their spawn 100% of the time.
right.
And this doesn't mean the other bosses aren't spawning. They're still spawning at their normal spawn rates, but this at least guarantees you one
Each
person,
week, one
or
boss
yeah,
you can fight, yeah.
you can go fight them. Yeah.
Oh, man, I had a point to make about it, and it was something you had mentioned yesterday, and I can't remember what it was.
Probably something to do with root beer.
Oh, no, we assume this is just the static spawn bosses, the bosses that have specific spawn points.
Oh
N
yeah.
Likely not the goons, likely not partisan, probably not cultists, I would imagine, but hey, if they do go that route, that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even
I'm
more
okay with
incentive to
that if they
go
do.
yeah, absolutely, I would prefer that they did. I haven't spot partisan but one time in, like, 6 months or something, so, it
It
would be
would be
nice.
cool if they did that, but they just did it on one map, like you know,
Yeah, like
cultists
partisan
on
on
woods.
woods, cultist
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Partisan
So there is a
shoreline,
chance
cultist
they could do
woods,
that.
and goons lighthouse.
Yeah, just throw them on one map 100%. Like there is a good possibility they might do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see it. But yeah, take advantage of it. It's something cool that Tarkov doesn't usually do. So yeah, definitely hop in and farm up some boss XP. Plus, get your achievements done.
Yeah.
Other than that, Adam mentioned the survey earlier. I do want to just throw out there, it is worth doing. You get a Bitcoin and a lab Riz card.
Yeah.
So decent little bit of value there.
Which
Definitely
I
just
think is
hop
by
on and
far
do
the
it.
best reward
Yeah,
ever for a
absolutely it
survey.
is. And it's quick.
It's
It's just
usually
a few
like
questions.
2 things of duct tape or something is usually what you get.
Yeah. Typically rewards are not great. But yeah, go do it. It's a quick one, nice and easy to knock out. Give your honest
And
opinion
it's
on how you
stuff
feel about current
yeah,
things.
it's stuff they need to know because they're asking about basically the Tarkov community, how it's been used lately to add changes to the game. That's really what the survey's mostly about. And they need feedback on that stuff. Um,
Yeah, they really
I'm
do.
hoping
Absolutely.
people I'm hoping people realize the good amount of changes we've gotten since they started doing the Tarkov community. There are, some things that aren't great. Like we talked about one with the footstep thing that was pretty much caused from a post on Tarkov community. So there are things that, are going to happen that we don't like, but there's been so many good changes
There
that I
absolutely
think
has,
they
yeah.
should keep doing this. Yeah, no, I hope people don't just trash it and act like it doesn't matter and say, the game's worse now. We don't need
Right,
this.
right.
You know what I mean?
We're
Like,
we're getting good changes at a good pacing. It's going really
yeah,
well.
we've
Sure,
had
we
a ton of
nobody's gonna agree
changes.
with everything that they do. That's a given.
Well,
Just be
the best part
mindful
has
that
been all those little bugs that have been in the game forever. A lot of those have been addressed. A lot of just lingering things that are there, wipe after wipe after wipe, that
right,
never get
right.
tackled. A lot of those things have gotten the spotlight put on them, and they've gotten fixed within a
Yeah,
week or so.
yeah, which is huge.
And it's just, yeah, and as long as we continue to, you know, use it for things that are actually good for the game and not just people, being upset about how something is hard, or, as long as it's stuff that continues to make Tarkov, then I think it's a great tool, and I hope we continue to use it.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's all I have for the week. If there's anything else you wanna add, we
No,
can.
no, nope. I think that's it.
Alright, well, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, let us know down in the comments. In fact, how do you guys let us know how you guys feel about this cultist footstep situation. Clearly, we're not the biggest fans of it. Okay with the other bosses, but yeah, let us know your opinions on that. And then be sure to like the video, and if you haven't yet, consider subscribing to the channel. It helps us out a lot, keeps you up to date with all of our content. We'll catch you next week. See ya.